At my bakery's anniversary party, my sister stood up in front of 200 guests, raised her phone to her live stream of 800,000 followers, and announced she was buying me out. Her smile was the same smile she wore at my engagement party 4 years earlier. The same smile she wore on every video where she called me her hot mess sister. The crowd thought it was a joke. My mother laughed and clapped. My father raised his glass. My sister winked at the camera and said, "Don't worry, Zara, I'll keep the name. People love a comeback story." I said nothing. I just looked at her. Then I looked at the door. Then I looked at the man standing quietly near the back of the room, the one nobody else had noticed yet. He nodded at me once. My sister kept talking. She talked about rebranding. She talked about modernizing. She talked about how her new cookbook deal needed a real bakery to anchor it. Her followers were sending hearts and fire emojis. The waiters had stopped pouring drinks. For 14 months, I had been waiting for this exact moment. I had been waiting for her to say it out loud, on her own stream, in front of the right witnesses. She thought she was ending my story. She had no idea she was starting it. My name is Chizaram Anderson. But to the world, I'm Zara. I'm 32 years old and I own a small artisan bakery called Mido in a quiet brick building on the corner of 8th and Cedar. Before I dive into what happened next, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop your city and your local time in the comments. I love seeing where everyone is tuning in from. Now, back to the story. I built Mido alone. I started it 5 years ago with $16,000 I had saved from teaching baking classes out of my kitchen. I painted the walls myself. I sanded the counter myself. I learned plumbing from a free online course because I could not afford a contractor. My sister Bridget is 28. She runs a lifestyle channel called Bridget at Home with 1.2 million followers, 3 brand deals, and a cookbook coming out in 8 weeks. That cookbook, it turns out, contains 47 of my recipes. But I am getting ahead of myself. To understand what happened that night at Mido, you have to understand who Bridget was and who I was, long before either of us knew what a livestream was. You have to understand how a girl can spend 20 years quietly stealing her sister's life, and how a sister can spend the last 14 months quietly preparing for the moment she takes it back. Bridget was always the loud one, the pretty one, the funny one, the one our mother dressed up for photos and our father introduced first at every dinner. I was the quiet one, the one who baked, the one who watched. When I was 12 and Bridget was 8, our mother asked me to teach Bridget how to make her birthday cake. I taught her. She licked the spoon and said it was disgusting. 3 weeks later, our mother asked Bridget to bake the cake for our father's birthday. Bridget baked my exact recipe and accepted the applause without saying my name once. I told my mother. My mother said, "Zara, don't be jealous of your sister. She's just expressive. You're more reserved. That's why people don't notice you the same way." I was 12. That sentence lived in my head for 20 years. Bridget stole my recipes through high school and college. She stole my outfit ideas, my book recommendations, even my favorite perfume. Each time, our mother said the same words. "Don't be jealous, be supportive. She's just expressive." When Bridget started her channel 6 years ago, I almost laughed. Then I watched her first viral video. It was my recipe for honey cardamom shortbread, the exact one, down to the resting time. The comments under the video said, "Bridget is so talented, her sister must be so proud." I closed the laptop and went to work. 3 years ago, Bridget posted a video called My Family's Secret Sourdough Recipe. The recipe was mine. I had developed it over 18 months. I had tested it 41 times. I had spreadsheets. The video hit 4 million views in 2 weeks. A food magazine called Bridget. A breakfast TV show flew her to Los Angeles. A flower company offered her a sponsorship. I called Bridget the day after the magazine feature ran. I asked her calmly if she might mention me in her next post. Just a sentence, just a credit. She laughed. Not a mean laugh, a confused laugh. Like I had asked her to give me her car. She said, "Zara, recipes can't be copyrighted. Everyone uses everyone's recipes. Don't make this weird." I said okay. I hung up. Then I opened a new document on my laptop and titled it Mido Receipts. In that document, I started listing every recipe of mine that Bridget had ever posted. I added screenshots of my old emails to friends with the recipes attached. I added timestamps from my old food blog. I added notes from my recipe journals, photographed and dated. I did not have a plan yet. I just had a feeling. The feeling was this: Bridget had crossed a line tonight that she did not see. She had built her career on a foundation that, one day, the right person would test. I just needed to become the right person. 9 months later, I was at my parents' house for Sunday dinner. Bridget was talking about her week. I was clearing plates. My mother was laughing too loudly. I noticed Bridget's phone propped up against the salt shaker. The camera was pointed at me. I walked closer. The screen was on. The little red dot in the corner was active. She was filming. I said, "Bridget, are you recording right now?" She did not flinch. She picked up the phone, smiled and said, "Just B-roll, Zara. For my Patreon, they love family content. Don't be weird about it." I said, "I never agreed to be filmed." My mother from across the table said, "Zara, don't be jealous of your sister." I went home that night and signed up for Bridget's Patreon under a fake name and a stock photo. I scrolled through her members-only content for 3 hours. There was a series, a whole series. It was called Hot Mess Sister. There were 27 episodes. Each one was a clip of me burning a pan, dropping a dish, crying after my engagement ended, laughing too loud at a joke. Underneath each clip, Bridget had written a caption. Things like, "She means well." Things like, "Bless her heart." Things like, "This is what happens when you don't take care of yourself." She had 11,000 paying subscribers. She was making $60,000 a month off humiliating me. I waited a week before I told my parents. I wanted to be calm. I wanted to be precise. I wanted them to take me seriously. I drove to their house on a Sunday afternoon. I brought my laptop. I had the Patreon page bookmarked. I had screenshots printed. My father opened the door. He hugged me. My mother poured tea. I told them everything. I showed them the page. I played one of the clips. I read the caption out loud. My mother's face did not change. She set down her tea. She said, "Zara, your sister is making a living. You have to understand, content creators take inspiration from everywhere." My father said, "It's not personal, sweetheart. She's not trying to hurt you." I said, "She is making $60,000 a month making fun of me to 11,000 strangers." My mother said, "That's an exaggeration." I showed her the subscriber count. She closed the laptop. Then she looked at me with the same expression she had used when I was 12 and said, "Zara, please, don't ruin this for her. She's finally found something that makes her happy." I drove home. I did not cry. I parked my car in front of Mido. I sat in the dark for an hour. Then I opened my laptop, went back to the Mido receipts document, and started a second tab. I titled the second tab Plan. 8 months before the bakery's anniversary, I got engaged. His name was Luca. He was kind and steady, and made me feel safe for the first time in my life. We had a small engagement party at a wine bar near Mido. Bridget showed up 40 minutes late, holding her phone, holding a microphone, and wearing a dress brighter than mine. She gave a speech. Of course she did. She raised her glass and said, "To my sister Zara, who I have always rooted for, even when she stayed in her shell. Luca, you are the patient man we have been praying for." The room laughed politely. Luca squeezed my hand. I smiled. 3 days later, I found the clip on her Patreon. She had captioned it, "Pray for my future brother-in-law. He is going to need it." The clip had 800,000 views. Within a month, my fiancé's coworkers were sending him screenshots. His mother saw it. His best friend joked about it at the gym. 6 weeks later, Luca sat me down at our kitchen table and said, "Zara, I love you, but I cannot live in your sister's content." He was not cruel. He was honest. He was tired. He left on a Tuesday with 2 suitcases and a key to his cousin's apartment. I closed the door, walked into the bathroom, and recorded a video of myself crying. I saved it. I would need it later. 3 months after Luca left, Bridget made an announcement. She was getting a cookbook deal, a major publisher, a 6-figure advance, a national tour. The book would be called Bridget at Home, The Family Recipes That Made Me. She made the announcement on a live stream. 200,000 people watched it live. I watched too, from my office at the bakery, with a cup of coffee going cold in my hand. She held up a mock-up of the cover. She listed some of the recipes: honey cardamom shortbread, Mido sourdough, brown butter pear tart, cinnamon ginger snaps, mine, 47 of them. By the time she finished reading, I had counted them all. In the comments, someone asked, "Bridget, what does your sister think? Doesn't she own that bakery?" Bridget smiled at the camera. "Zara is going to be so happy. She has always been my biggest supporter." I closed my laptop very gently. I did not slam it. I did not throw anything. Then I drove to my lawyer's office and asked her one question. I asked, "Can I trademark a recipe?" Ms. Ugo looked up from her desk and said, "You can trademark a name. You can trademark a brand, and under certain conditions you can copyright a recipe's specific written expression." I said, "How long would it take?" She said, "If we start tomorrow, 8 weeks." The cookbook launched in 12. 2 weeks after I left Miss Ugo's office, I got a text from a number I did not recognize. It said, "Zara, this is Wesley. I am Bridget's husband. We have not spoken much, but I need to tell you something. Can we meet?" We met at a coffee shop 2 towns over. Wesley looked tired, not sad tired, awake tired, the kind of tired that comes from finally seeing something clearly. He set his phone face down on the table. "I am leaving Bridget. I have been planning it for 6 months. But before I go, I want to give you something." He slid a USB drive across the table. He said, "She has been having an affair with her assistant Collins for 2 years. She thinks I do not know. I have texts, photos, hotel receipts, and 3 voice memos where she laughs about you. She calls you the goose that lays the gold." I did not pick up the USB. "Why are you giving this to me?" He looked at me for a long time. "Because she is going to keep getting away with it forever, unless someone with no fingerprints sets the room on fire, and you are the only person in our family with the patience to do it right." I picked up the USB. I said, "Thank you, Wesley." He said, "Do not thank me. Just do it well." The next morning, I was buying flour at the wholesale market when I bumped into a woman in a brown blazer. Chizaram Anderson?" I blinked. I recognized the voice. Then I smiled. It was Imani. She's the only one who always calls me Chizaram and not Zara. She says Zara is an injustice to the beautiful name Chizaram. We had been roommates our sophomore year of college. We had not spoken in 9 years. She hugged me. We sat on a bench outside. She caught me up. She was a senior brand director now. She managed cookware partnerships for a major appliance company. "You will not believe who one of my biggest accounts is." I said, "Who?" "Your sister." The world went very still. I said very carefully, "How does that work?" She laughed. "Bridget has a 3-year exclusive partnership with us. She gets paid quarterly to feature our products. The contract has an originality clause. Every recipe and sponsored content has to be hers. If we ever found out she was using stolen material, we could terminate on the spot and claw back 2 years of payments." I held my coffee a little tighter. "Imani, are you free for dinner this week?" She tilted her head. "Why?" "I have something to show you. I think it is going to make your job easier." She studied me for a second. "Chizaram, are you about to ruin my favorite client?" I said, "I am about to save your contract." She said, "Pick the restaurant." For the next 4 months, I built a file. Every morning before the bakery opened, I worked on it for 2 hours. Every evening after closing, I worked 1 more. I cross-referenced every recipe Bridget had ever posted with the dated entries in my old recipe journals. I scanned the journals, I put them on a notarized timeline. Miss Ugo introduced me to a forensic content specialist who knew how to date digital footprints. I pulled every Hot Mess Sister clip from Bridget's Patreon. I bought a 6-month subscription so I could screen record the back catalog without leaving a trace. I went through Wesley's USB drive page by page. I separated the personal infidelity material from the professional fraud material. I built 2 folders, one for Imani, one for the divorce lawyer Wesley would need. I kept a 3rd folder, the one Bridget had unknowingly built herself. 27 Hot Mess Sister episodes, 47 stolen recipes, 6 monetized livestream clips where she had mocked Mado by name. I did not show anyone the 3rd folder yet, not even Imani. I was waiting for the right moment. Then, late one night, my phone buzzed, a text from Bridget. It said, "Zara, save the date, June 14th. I am throwing you a Mado anniversary party. Trust me, it will be huge." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I smiled, slowly. She had just picked the date for me. 3 weeks before the anniversary party, a thick envelope arrived at the bakery. Miss Ugo had hand-delivered it herself. Inside were 47 copyright registration certificates. Each one represented a recipe of mine, formally registered with the United States Copyright Office. The dates of original creation were verified by my journals, my old food blog, and 3 sworn statements from former classmates. There was also a trademark certificate for the name Me Dough, the bakery's logo, and 3 signature product names. There was also a cease and desist letter, ready to be served, addressed to the publisher of Bridget's cookbook. Miss Ugo sat across from me. She placed a hand on the stack of papers. "Zara, when are we sending the cease and desist?" I said. "Not yet." She raised an eyebrow. "Every week we wait, that book moves closer to print." I said, "I know." She said, "Why are we waiting?" I looked at her for a long moment. Then I said, "Because the cookbook is not the thing I am taking back." She tilted her head. "Then what are you taking back?" I said, "The story." She watched me for a beat. Then she nodded slowly, like she finally understood. She said, "Tell me when." I said, "June 14th, 8:30 in the evening. Wear something sharp, bring 2 associates, and turn your phone to silent." She said, "I will be there." 2 weeks before the party, I had dinner with Imani at a quiet Italian place on the other side of town. I brought a tablet and a portable speaker. I started with the trademark certificates. Imani read each one. She did not speak for 9 minutes. Then I played the screen recordings, Bridget's sponsored cookware videos, then my dated journal pages side by side with the same recipes. By the 5th video, Imani had set down her wine glass. By the 8th, she had pulled out a small notebook. By the 11th, she said, "Chizaram, are you absolutely certain you have the original publication dates locked down?" I said, "Notarized, triple verified, independent witness statements." She closed the notebook. She looked at me with the same expression she used to have during midterms. Calm, sharp, decided. "Bridget's contract has a clause. If she is found to have violated the originality terms in a public, demonstrable way, our company has the right to issue immediate termination and recovery of paid sponsorship fees. That is approximately $1.1 million. I said, "I know." She said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Come to my anniversary party on June 14th. Come a little late, walk in only when I text you the word ready, and then do your job, publicly." She said, "I will bring our legal counsel." A week before the party, Wesley came to the bakery just before closing. He sat in the corner booth and ordered a black coffee. I sat across from him. "I filed for divorce yesterday. She does not know yet." I said, "When does she find out?" "Wednesday morning, the day before your anniversary party." "She will be a wreck on Thursday." "She will be performing on Thursday. She is too proud to look like a wreck on a live stream. That is the part you can use." He drank his coffee. Then he said, "There is something else." I waited. "Bridget has been telling our parents she is going to make a big announcement on Thursday. She has not told them what it is. But I know. She is going to announce that she is buying you out." I felt the blood leave my face for half a second. Then it came back. "Buying me out of what?" "The bakery. She has been telling your mother for months that you are struggling, that you cannot keep up with the times. She has a fake offer letter ready with a number she will throw at you on the live stream. She thinks the public pressure will force you to accept." I sat back in the booth. Then I started laughing. Wesley raised an eyebrow. I said, "Wesley, she is walking into the perfect trap and she does not even know." 5 days before the party, my phone buzzed. It was a number I did not recognize. The message said, "This is Collins, Bridget's assistant. Please can we meet?" I almost ignored it. Then I read it again. We met in the back office of Mido after hours. Collins walked in wearing oversized tracksuit and a hoodie. He looked 20 years old. He was 24. His hands were shaking. He sat down. His eyes were red. "Bridget told me on Sunday she is leaving me." I said, "Leaving you?" "We have been seeing each other for 2 years. She promised me she was going to leave Wesley. Then on Sunday she said it had run its course. She gave me a check for $5,000 and asked me to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I have not signed it yet." I poured him a glass of water. "Collins, why are you telling me this?" "Because she is also firing me. After the party, she has already hired my replacement. She thinks I do not know." I said, "Collins, what do you want from me?" He looked at me. His voice was steadier now. "I want her to feel a tenth of what I feel right now, and I have her phone passcode. I have her cloud login, and I will give them to you tonight." I was very still for a long moment. Then I said, "Collins, I am not going to take her passcode. I am not going to log into her cloud." He blinked. "Why not?" "Because the moment I do, every piece of evidence I have built becomes useless. Anything I do with stolen access is unusable in court. It would also make me a criminal, and it would make her the victim." He looked confused. "I do not need her passwords, Collins. I need her in public, on her own live stream, saying the things she always says. That is what I am setting up. The trap is built out of her own words, on her own platform. The only thing she still has to do is show up." Collins was quiet. Then he said, "What do you want then?" "I want you to come to the anniversary party as her assistant. Pretend nothing has changed. Stand near the camera. When she starts the live stream, your only job is to make sure the angle is wide enough that everyone in the room is in frame, including the door." He said, "That is it." I said, "That is it. Why?" "Because what is going to walk through that door is bigger than anything in her phone." He nodded slowly. "I will be there. Wide angle. I promise." I said, "Thank you, Collins. Now go home." The night before the party, I sat alone in the bakery. I had sent the texts. Amani was confirmed. Miss Ugo was confirmed. Wesley was confirmed. Collins was confirmed. The forensic content specialist had uploaded a backup file to a secure server with date stamps. I had also done one more thing. I had quietly contacted the publisher of Bridget's cookbook. I had not told my lawyer about that conversation. I had reached the senior acquisitions editor through an old culinary school friend. I had sent her 3 sample chapters from the leaked cookbook draft, side by side with my journals. She had read them in 2 hours. She had emailed me back at midnight. The email said, "Zara, we will be issuing a halt on production tomorrow at 9 in the morning, pending internal review. You have our word that no copies will reach print without your written consent. We will be watching tomorrow night with great interest." I closed my laptop. I walked through the bakery in the dark. I touched the counter I had sanded myself. I touched the shelves I had built from second-hand wood. I touched the oven that had been my first big purchase, the oven I had named after my grandmother, even though my grandmother had never seen it. I stood by the front window for a long time. Then I whispered, "Tomorrow." The bakery did not answer, but I could feel it listening. The party started at 7. By 6:45, 200 guests had arrived. Friends, loyal customers, local food writers, suppliers, a few neighbors who had watched me build the place from the inside out. My parents were in the front row. My mother was wearing pearls. My father was wearing a tie I had given him 5 Christmases ago. Bridget arrived at 7:15. She made an entrance. She wore a long red dress and brought 4 lights, 2 cameras, and a ring light operator. She kissed my cheek. She whispered, "Tonight is going to be everything for both of us, sis." I smiled. "I have a feeling it will." She did not notice my voice was lower than usual. She did not notice that Wesley was standing in the back, calmly drinking water. She did not notice that Collins was setting up the camera with a wider angle than usual. She did not notice my lawyer slipping into the kitchen entrance and passing a small file to a man in a charcoal suit. She did not notice anything except her own reflection in the mirror behind the cake table. The live stream went live at 7:30. 800,000 people clicked in within minutes. The trap was set. Now I just needed her to walk into it. At 8:20, Bridget tapped a knife against her champagne glass. The room hushed. She walked to the center of the bakery floor with her phone held high, livestream pointed at the crowd, and began the speech she had been rehearsing for weeks. "Friends, family, loyal Meadow customers. Today is a beautiful day. 5 years ago, my sister Zara opened this little bakery with a dream. And tonight, I am here to make that dream bigger than she ever could have imagined." The crowd murmured. "I am proud to announce that I, Bridget, have made an offer to acquire Meadow as the official flagship bakery of the Bridget at Home brand." Gasps. A few people laughed, thinking it was a joke. Effective next month, Meadow will be relaunched as Bridget's Meadow, with a new menu, new branding, and a new direction. My team will be taking over operations. Zara will continue to be welcome here in a creative consulting capacity. She smiled at me. "Sis, this is a love letter. Come up here and accept the offer." She held out a folded piece of paper. The live stream chat exploded with hearts. My mother stood up and clapped. My father whistled. I walked forward slowly. I did not take the paper. Instead, I turned to face the camera. I said, "Bridget, before I respond, I have something I want to share with your viewers first." I lifted my own phone. I had preloaded a video onto a portable projector. The projector was already pointed at the white wall behind the cake table. I tapped a button. The wall lit up. The first clip was a Hot Mess Sister highlight reel. It was 3 minutes long. It opened with Bridget's voice over the words, "Oh, my hot mess sister Zara at it again." It cut to me, crying alone in a parking lot after the day Luca left. The crowd went silent. The next clip showed me dropping a tray of croissants. The caption read, "Bless her heart." The clip after that showed me at our father's birthday party, laughing too loud at a joke. The caption read, "She means well." The fourth clip was a slow zoom on my engagement ring at the wine bar party, with Bridget's voiceover saying, "Pray for my future brother-in-law." The room had stopped breathing. My mother sat down very slowly. My father's face had gone gray. Bridget was still smiling, but the smile had begun to crack at the corners. She said, into her live stream, "Zara, what is this? Stop. Turn it off." I did not turn it off. The clips kept playing, 27 of them. In the live stream chat, the hearts had stopped. The comments were all the same. "Wait, what, is this real? She made money off this." While the clips kept playing, I sent a single text, the word "ready." 45 seconds later, the front door opened. Imani walked in. She wore the blue blazer. Her 2 associates walked in behind her, both holding folders. The forensic content specialist stood up from his corner seat and joined them. Imani walked through the silent room and stopped directly in front of Bridget. She said, calm and clear, in a voice the entire live stream could hear, "Bridget, my name is Imani. I am the senior brand director for your largest sponsorship contract. I am here to inform you that, effective tonight, your 3-year exclusive partnership is terminated for breach of the originality clause." Bridget's hand began to shake. Imani continued, "We have independently verified that 47 of the recipes featured in your sponsored content over the past 2 years were authored, dated, and originally published by your sister Chizaram Anderson, predating your use by an average of 3 to 7 years. She handed Bridget the termination letter. "We will also be initiating recovery proceedings for $1.1 million in paid sponsorship fees. This action is effective immediately." Bridget did not take the letter. The letter dropped to the floor. Imani turned, walked over to me, and quietly said, "Done." In the live stream chat, the hearts were gone. The man in the charcoal suit stepped forward next. "My name is Mr. Mathers. I represent Mido Bakery and Ms. Zara Anderson. I am here on her behalf to deliver 3 documents. He held them up one by one. First, a formal cease and desist order against Bridget Anderson, instructing her to remove all 47 copyrighted recipes from every platform she controls within 72 hours. He set it on the cake table. Second, a copyright infringement lawsuit filed this morning against Bridget Anderson personally and against the publisher of her forthcoming cookbook. Damages sought, $800,000 in lost revenue, plus statutory penalties for each documented infringement. He set that one down too. Third, a trademark cease and desist on the use of the name Mido in any marketing, branding, or product line associated with Bridget at Home. He set that one on top. He turned to the camera. For the avoidance of doubt, the publisher of the cookbook has, as of 9 o'clock this morning, halted all production pending review. There will be no Bridget at Home cookbook unless and until Ms. Anderson grants her written consent. Bridget made a small sound, like a kettle starting to whistle. Her live stream had crossed 1.1 million viewers. The chat had a single repeating phrase, "Drop her." Bridget finally found her voice. She turned to me, still on live stream, and said, "Zara, this is sick. You set me up, in front of my own family." I did not answer. Wesley walked forward instead. He stopped beside me. He looked at Bridget calmly. "Bridget, I filed for divorce on Wednesday. The papers are at our house. I am sorry you found out this way. But the people watching deserve to know one more thing." Bridget's eyes were enormous. "You have been having an affair with your assistant Collins for 2 years. I have known for 6 months. I stayed quiet because I wanted my exit to be clean. Tonight, I am giving you a clean exit too." He turned and walked back toward the door. The room had gone dead silent. Then my mother stood up. I expected her to defend Bridget. I expected the same words she had been saying for 20 years. Instead, my mother walked across the bakery floor, past Bridget, and stood beside me. She placed her hand on my arm. She did not say anything. She just stood there. It was the loudest silence of her entire life. Bridget saw it. Her face crumpled. The phone slipped from her hand. The live stream caught the ceiling for 11 seconds. When the camera tilted back up, Bridget was already at the front door, half running. 800,000 viewers watched her leave. By Friday morning, Bridget's channel had lost 300,000 subscribers. By Friday afternoon, 2 more brand sponsorships had pulled out. A third put her on indefinite suspension. By Friday evening, the cookbook had been formally canceled. The publisher offered a public statement that took full responsibility and confirmed they would never work with Bridget again. By Saturday, 3 news outlets had covered the story. 2 of them used the same headline: "Influencer built empire on stealing from her sister." By Sunday, Bridget had deleted her main account. By the following Wednesday, my mother showed up at the bakery alone. She stood at the counter in silence for a moment. Then she said, "I should have listened to you when you were 12. I poured her a coffee. I said, "You should have listened to me at every age in between." She nodded. She did not argue. She said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I will be." We did not hug. We did not cry. We just sat together at the corner table for an hour, drinking coffee while the bakery filled up with customers who had seen the live stream and come to support me in person. The line stretched out the door for the next 4 months. Wesley moved to a different city. Collins got into pastry school with a quiet recommendation letter from me. And Bridget, for the first time in her life, was not the loud one in the room. 6 months later, I signed my own cookbook deal. It was with the same publisher who had canceled Bridget's. They offered me twice the advance. I named the book The Quiet Crumb after a phrase my grandmother used to say. She used to say that the best parts of a recipe are the ones nobody hears you working on. The book launched on a Tuesday. It sold out the first print run in 4 days. On the second week, a small package arrived at the bakery. No return address. Inside was a single envelope. Inside the envelope was a handwritten note in Bridget's handwriting. The note had 3 words: "I am sorry." I read it twice. Then I put it in a drawer in the back of the bakery, next to the original Mado receipts document I had printed and saved for years. I did not write back. Maybe one day I will. Maybe one day I will not. For now I am still here. Still baking. Still quiet. Still listening. If this story struck a chord deep inside you, pour your thoughts into the comments below. And if you have ever had to rebuild your life from the ashes, or you are still quietly rebuilding it piece by piece, you are exactly where you belong. Hit subscribe, leave a like, and stay close for the next story. Because the quietest people in the room are usually the ones holding the longest list.